to get some stuff off the bat, why I just auto-select tumblers without even talking about anything, is BB is kind of weird. Is there a Gorgon BB? What's the Blunderbuss called? So BB, if I go to the skill builder for this, Blunderbuss has one problem with it. It doesn't really have good sources of empower. The only source of empower, like, on the entire Blunderbuss tree is this ramp bonus, which means that we have to, like, really make sure that we have a good amount of empower from our gear and from our armor and stuff like that. Otherwise, we'll run into a lot of issues. So a lot of the choices I make are going to be based around that. The other thing I need to do is I need to find what Blunderbuss people are actually going to use in the end game, because I don't know. If anyone has one off the top of their head, let me know, but I forget what it's called. Hoplite? Disdained? That's not good. I mean, I could do a Gorgonite and then I could just pick the best pieces and make you all suffer, or we could just do Pestilence and call it a day. I think we'd probably just say, just go Pestilence. But the problem with that is then you can't go Artifact VG, and that kind of has okay synergy. Crush, do you think Pestilence with Artifact, with a normal VG is better, or do you think a BB and then you do Artifact VG is better? What, wait, should I go with S and a Spear? Medium's bad then? Yeah, you pretty much always want to go heavy. There are a few people that try to run that in light or in medium, and if you want to run it in medium, then you do a light shield. For that roll, Artifact VG because of the rend. Okay. So we can't cheat and just say go the Artifact. Penetrating the Empowered is really, really good, but it doesn't work because it has Keen on there. Wait, what? What the fuck is this? Is this upgradable? Hello? Why'd they put a refreshing move Blunderbuss back in the game? Okay. Well, that's cool, I guess. And then the last perk here would be Penetrating the Empowered. Right? Like, surely this is just good. Like, I figure Refreshing Move is better than Enchanted, right? No, it's proc? Not Pen the Empowered. Pen the Empowered is not proc. Pen the Oh, no, it is proc. You're right. I thought it was a different thing for a second. Yeah, you can't. Because you need Pen the Empowered. That Blunderbuss is, like, very, very good, though. If you don't care about Pen the Empowered, but we care about Pen the Empowered. So I think this is just you force the craft with Gorgon, then. Which is fine, it just means the build's a little bit more expensive. So we do this one. Why is it not showing up? Because I didn't click on the weapon. Right. It would be helpful if you want to equip a weapon to actually hit the weapon thing. Okay. So that slot's taken. Voidgauntlet, we want the artifact Voidgauntlet, which I forget the name of. Life Taker. And then we get to break out the armor calculator, which I found today again. Let me pull this off the screen for a second before I leak everything in my Google Drive. What the fuck? They messed up a thing. Okay, whatever. This is fine. So we want to be in either light or medium. I'm gonna build this for light. No. Yeah, no, I think you build it for light. You could build it for medium. It's definitely viable in medium. Our boots are a little bit too heavy. Like they're in medium, right? No, they're light. Okay. If those boots are light, then this is really, really simple. I I have this in the Discord in the resources tab. So we have light boots, right? So then we want a medium chest is the idea here. So if we go back to here, then the only thing we have to worry about is Gorgon. And we have to pick the medium chest for this slot. And then all this is just the standard Gorgon light gear. The questionable part is, do we run ever into an issue with having too much empowered? Because we're going to have a lot of it. We're not empowered, sorry, Magnify. This is a build that you really want a wide distribution on your stat split, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do it correctly. The ring probably should be elemental band. Because, again, the empower idea. The last perk on here is kind of interesting. Wait, you could put empowering cleave on a ring perk? Oh, I thought that was something else. It's actually pretty good for a ring perk. He probably just went purifying heart. Purifying heart's just too good. Keen is a dead perk, but empowering band is just too good to ignore for this kind of build. You get this from the raid. Originally, I was gonna say, like, I think a normal person should be able to do the raid in like 2 weeks. I'm not gonna lie, even on fresh. Like, it's not that hard. The last boss requires a lot of communication, but it's not super, super hard. Why is Keen a dead perk? Keen is a dead perk on Blunderbuss because the crit damage... Okay, Keen is a dead perk on the Blunderbuss traditionally because the crit damage modifier is 1.1. Most people have over, like, 10% of crit damage mitigation. So if I, like, go in game, and then you look at the left here, light has 15% crit damage mitigation. Medium has 20%. Heavy has 25%. So, like, the crit never should do more damage than it actually says. There is a bug right now, so it actually will do, like, that bonus just doesn't work unless you unequip and re-equip your gear every single time you die or TP in PvP, which is stupidly annoying. But, so this shouldn't do anything traditionally, but it does right now. So we want penetrating the empowered on here for sure. The gem... I think the gem's still opal, but I don't love opal. Miicrow, I think mounting counts as TPing, right, doesn't it? So the damage is just borked. Oh. It might, I'm not sure. I don't think we tested mounting. That's a weird one, actually. Oh, I forgot to look at one thing before I selected all the gear. So I need to look at illegal gear pieces. So if we do acquisition, trial the devour, and look at light gear pieces, there might be one on here that is just insane for us. So this one's savior. That's not good. Keen is not good. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, none of these are broken. Okay. So we don't have to worry about illegal gear pieces then. Well, what about the medium chest? Actually, we have that too. That's also keen. Okay, cool. So we don't have to worry about any of the legal pieces then, because those are the broken ones for this expansion, where if you could run them, you definitely want to run them. So you can move away from that. We have Penny empowered already. I kind of want to look at Neuro Database for picking out the perks for the Blunderbuss, because it's just a better UI in terms of selecting perks. So, like, if I go to random perk here, and I pick a random proc one because I have a proc perk locked with Penny empowered, then I can see the other ones, right? Disdained infection, the potency of dots are increased by 20 or by 15%. We do have some dots with the build, but it's not a dot-centric build. So that's something to keep in mind, but it's okay. I think we probably put attunement on here. So, like, flame attunement is good. And then the last slot's probably just enchanted and just keep it simple. Is there another perk that really makes sense? I don't think so. So, This would be enchanted. This would be flame attunement. I think that's a pretty good blunderbuss. Light pants are broken, right? No, it's heavy legs and heavy boots are like really, really broken. Everything else is okay. So the idea here is we do a blunderbuss doesn't miss right now, right? Like it just does not miss because of the target lock. It's a hit scan weapon, so it's literally impossible for the target lock to like mess up right now for some stupid reason. So we are constantly hitting our shots. Normally the problem with blunderbuss is you have to hit someone that's like a little bit lighter. Penny Empowered partially solves that because now we have armor penetration. The other thing that solves that is tons of rends, right? Our Voidgauntlet applies rends passively to our blunderbuss every time we shoot a target. So we're just basically doing escalating damage to people that we hit. And that is kind of stupid. We have Opal on here because you typically dodge a bit with the blunderbuss to get in closer range. There are other things that you could use too, but Opal is just like more consistent, I guess. This one is controversial, and I'm not sure it's worth completely running yet, but Deckhand kind of makes sense for this kind of build because it has Empower built into it. And I'm like really, I feel like I'm going overboard on the Empower is the only thing. Like, I don't think I actually need to run Deckhand with this build. Phoenix is also decent on this build as well. Like instead of Elemental Band. So that's something that we could run. And then we could run fire damage and just get bonus Empower that way. Does that make any sense, Crush? Does Phoenix ever make more sense than Elemental Band? Because I think we already have enough Empower, right? Like, this is like 24-ish% Empower. This is like 15% Empower. So we're already at like 40%. On Amulet, I'm going to run Shirking Empower. No, I think we do need Elemental Band. I think Earring is Endless Thirst. I feel like you either need Elemental Band, but the weird part about Elemental Band is this 4% Empower for 6 seconds, right? I could just go... No, I think we don't run Elemental Band, because we want to do fire damage stacking, right? Like, it's either we go Deckhand and we go Band, or we go for Earring because it's a really good heal, and then we go for a fire damage on our ring. Both are really good. The problem with Band is if we want to put like fire damage stuff in here, then the Band's going to have an anti-synergy. Endless Thirst just heals for so much, it's hard to pass up. Yeah. Oh wait, we don't even have to go for fire damage synergy, right? Is this base damage or is it Empower for like what? What's the fire damage one? What if I salvage that ring? Then you have to create a new character in order to get it. I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer, to be honest. I mean, I think I could optimize it. So let me look at Ignited Fire Ward on here. I think it's a status effect. It's not a status effect. Is this Empower or base damage? That's not helpful. That's ABS damage fire. So that's Empower. So I could completely ignore these gems if I have enough Empower from other things. I just got a really stupid idea. So I can basically I can cut all those damage perks, I think. What about fire harnessing, or is it flame? Is it flame or fire? I think it's fire harnessing. Yeah. Is this Empower or is this base damage? Oh my god, that's also Empower. So I could basically save a bunch of perk slots by running Elemental Band, and instead of running like Flame Attunement here, we want to run a different kind of attunement, basically. So like Abyssal. Oh, we already have a Voidgauntlet doing Abyssal. So we don't want Abyssal. Uh, we could do nature, but I have a different way to get nature. What if we do frost? The way that we solve the nature problem is we put on the thorns perk, thorny reflection, because this will do nature damage back to the person that's hitting us, which will proc the elemental band. And on our Voidgauntlet, we have hit will inflict burn, doing 8% fire damage for 2 seconds. We don't want to do burn on here anymore. We're basically trying to mix and match and like get all of these different elemental effects, right? Because then that will cause that a thing to just skyrocket in terms of the amount of empower it's giving us on the elemental band. So now we're doing lightning damage here, and on the Voidgauntlet, we need to put a gem setting pin. Oh wait, can we even do gems on Voidgauntlet? I don't think we can do gems on Voidgauntlet. Honestly, just go Scream. Like, offhand, Scream on Voidgauntlet is like perfectly fine for this kind of setup, because you're just gonna be looking to like Scream someone, lock them down, and do damage with a combo person. Deckhand we might not even need. So how much do we have? So we have nature, right? Our Blunderbuss passively does fire. We have the Frost Attunement. We have the Electrified Gambit. So that's 4 different kinds. So that means that we have 16% in power. If I have a Gorgon amulet here, then we could put Shirking in power. This is just solving our empower problem. We do health every single time, and then we probably do a protection, like probably put thrust protection. This is debatable. Honestly, empowered is like kind of funny, but like could be good. So we basically figured out a way to maximize our empower. I don't know if Deckhand is 100% needed. He probably could just use like a more standard earring, but 50% empower is the cap, right? A Shirking Empower will get us to 21%. That will also have the same condition as Tumbler Feet Wraps, which will give us 15%. So now, like, we can keep track of that, right? So we have 21 from the Shirking Empower. We have 15 from the Tumbler Feet Wraps. Let me just write these out. Shirking Empower, Tumbler Feet Wraps, and then roughly from our elemental band, we have 16 from elemental band. So that already is at the empower cap. So we don't even like necessarily need to have Deckhand's promotion, but it's like nice. And if we have Deckhand promotion, that's another 24. So this will probably get us above the empower cap, even versus weakens on us. This is assuming the bug isn't fixed yet. Do we know if it is or isn't yet? Yeah, I could show that it's not fixed. So if we go to elemental bands, and then we look at this, you see how each type has a 10-second activation cooldown? We see the empower. I don't see anything on here saying that dots aren't allowed. Like, there's a effect that they can enable that will make it so it doesn't work on dots, but that's not the case here. Like, it's just not enabled. So it should work off of dots. So I'm pretty sure this gets us to the empower cap without having to do the traditional kind of cheeses to get to the empower cap, if you will. If you don't run Deckhand promotion, then you can get by, but you need to run more sources of empower like Rune Glass or other forms of gems. Think they'll hotfix the ring now? It's AGS, so no. They don't really hotfix here. The closest time they'll hotfix this is probably in 3 months. Yo, miicrow, I want to learn something. Does elemental aversion work in PvE? It does, and it's particularly good in mutations, but Enchanted Ward is just better than elemental aversion because it works versus every single type of auto attack, and they're just not versus, like, abilities. So it turns out that the Enchanted Ward's basically just better because it's, like, non-conditional damage reduction for PvE. And it's the same slot. So I think that's it for all of those, and then we can make this like kind of silly for the rest of these. Like, I imagine we probably go health. Actually, let's see what stats we get for this. 350? 350 does nothing for us, is the only thing. Do you ever go int scaling with this? Like, what if we put this on int and then like went to 200 strength? Do we run out of stats? We kind of run out of stats. Oh, and yeah, you also have Empower from Honing Stone, right? So that's another thing. Oh wait, I should put it here. I had to put it under the buff section. Those are the two that really matter. The other buffs don't really matter as much for this build. I guess you kind of want the mana one. Energizing hearty meal. So then if I put this into ints, I could hit 350. It's not what I wanted to do. Okay. Could I hit 200 strength? Is that too much of a cook? Oh, and then I can get rid of deckhand. So what if I cut deckhand now? We go Gorgon. And then we don't care about that for now. This would be regen. Because you can get extra stat thresholds now, right? More than you could before. Healing heart is okay. Toast is probably the one that we want. Refreshing toast. And then fortifying toast. Like, but those are both kind of fine. Fortifying toast isn't mandatory though. Like this one could be healing heart. I think both of them are pretty good. What's the best weapon combos and how do I find this and any tip and where do I go for any tips? That sounds like a lot of like there's a lot there. I just joined the Discord because Discord has tips. Like people have builds posted. The best weapon combo, we have an entire giant video on that on YouTube side. And like I feel like there's too much there to unpack in like a simple answer. Almost anything with spear, sword, and shield and fire staff are good. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, sword and shield and fire staff are the two best weapons in the game. Anything that mix and matches with them tends to be pretty good. Does that only work in PvE, or is the description wrong and AGS is special? For Enchanted Ward, yeah, that only works in PvE, basically. You can use Enchanted Ward in PvE, but the way that the game works in PvE is the bosses are encoded to have passive powers, so that means weakens are a little bit worse in terms of damage reduction, but bosses don't have any base damage, so base damage reduction perks are insane in PvE. Enchanted Ward is the best base damage reduction perk in PvE, so it's like basically mandatory. Do we have 725 on everything? Yeah, 725 on everything. So this should let us not hit our threshold because of stupid Magnify. Oh my god. Shit. Is there anything that doesn't have Magnify? I have strength in there, I have Magnify in there. What if we go for like 700 gear score on the earring or something like that? And then get one without Magnify, because I do not want Magnify on my earring. So I can hit the thresholds. Oh, Apex Gold Curse actually I don't think has to have Magnify. Yeah, you can get a random one. The problem is like it's relatively hard to upgrade. Okay. But you can get this, I think, relatively easy or something akin to this. Oh, wait, that's the other thing. Regen. Like the last perk doesn't really matter. You just need like one or two of these perks. The point is that we want to hit our stat threshold break without necessarily giving up Magnify. And I think this lets us do it. So now I can go 200, 300, and I should be able to hit 200 here too. Yeah, 203. Bam. That sounds nuts. So you can get 200 strength, which is a 10% damage increase to someone that's slowed, stunned, or rooted. You could hit 300 ints, which is our which is another really nice threshold to hit, because it's base damage to targets below 50% health. And you could hit 200 con, which makes you super tanky. So that seems crazy. So we lock that in. We probably want to get health on all of our gear, because we're not that tanky. We're in light, so base damage reduction is really, really good. Elemental aversion makes sense. The other one is Enchanted Ward. Enchanted Ward probably makes a little bit more sense than Elemental Aversion, but Elemental Aversion also makes sense. Like, both of those are solid options. We need Slowing Tether on a piece. And I think that's it. The rest is flexible. So, like, what's a good perk to go here? Like, conditioning, probably? Like, thrust conditioning? No, not thrust. Do slash. Do slash conditioning, and then we have the thrust on the other thing. So that works better. And then we could do slash conditioning here. Or, no, we could do health here. What's better, health or slash conditioning? Probably health. I think it's slightly better. So then how much health do we have? We have 18k health? Like, yeah, that's fine. That's a good amount of health. We will need to have a healer somewhat close to us, though, for this to, like, make a ton of sense. But we have Essence Rupture, which helps with the healing as well. You have two options for Heart Runes. I think Vines is probably the better one, but you could go for, like, Stone Form as another form of healing, but I think Vines just makes more sense. The trick here is Vines has a debuff normally, where it will make it, with this form of Vines, where it will reduce your stamina regen by 50% for 5 seconds. We can combo that, though, with Purifying Heart, and then that will strip it immediately, so then we have no debuff and we only have the buff. Okay. So now we have 2 slash conditioning, we have a protection, so we don't need that much physical ward. Like, we could take 2 physical wards. And then we can take a bunch of elemental wards, which will help us versus the ranged. And it will help us versus people trying to do different elemental damage types. And again, the trick here is that we don't have to put on Rune Glass because we're already at the Empower cap. Yeah, Empower cap. So we don't have this one anymore. We have 7 from Honing. 21 plus 15 plus 16. So this is 30, this is 50, this is like 58. So we should be pretty consistently at the empower cap, assuming that we can dodge things. We also have another empower built into ramp on our BB, which will help a little bit. BB tree should be something like this. Oh yeah, this poison, I believe, is what type of damage is apparatus to? I think it's nature. Or I meant this thing. Oh, bleed is standard damage, so that's another type of elemental damage technically. So that would also boost it a little bit if we get down to apparatus. No, wait, it's not elemental though. That's physical damage. So that wouldn't work. Ramp is nice. Pick those up. Honestly, the haste perk is like a lot better than it used to be. So that's like something I kind of want to take. Crush, tell me if I'm doing this tree wrong. I'm just doing what kind of makes sense to me. The last slots here seem kind of flexible. It's like this the base tree that you typically go? Standard is slash, I believe. Yeah. Like we could go barb netting. Like it's fine. Is there another perk on here that's good? Like we're not going to be hitting people that are 10 meters away. I guess last chance is a nice perk to have. That perk does nothing. Future endeavors is okay. Like I feel like barb netting's a little bit better. Splitting grenade almost certainly you combo it into shrapnel. I mean, I feel like that's too greedy of a build though. Like I feel like blast shot's just like a little bit more consistent. But you could go that. Like if you went plague splitting grenade, then what's our tree look like? Like that? I mean, it does give you a haste, which is kind of nice to zoom around the map a bit. Oh, we forgot a perk too that we have to pick up. I forgot about a perk. We have to drop a health, I think. You want hasted vigor on at least one piece of gear because it gives you a 10% haste if you get hit. Alright, I mean, we could do splitting. We don't need that perk. We don't, so we could do something like this. But then we don't have last chance. But I feel like last chance isn't that insane. Barb netting isn't a waste, in my opinion. Yeah, it's just I don't see something that's better. Like, is run and gun bad? Like, I felt like run and gun was good last time I played BB, but you could also play BB by just reloading with your offhand. And then you, in that case, you would go like artillery and then you go last chance. Like, you kind of have options there. I don't know, you have some flexible slots. Like I think this is like the locked in stuff and everything else is like kind of flexible at the end. Like even the ramp's kind of flexible at the end, but you need to hit the unload. So I'm just gonna say this for now on that tree. VG is kind of interesting. You want most of the damage perks on the left side, but you want Scream all the way down. Like this is like naturally what makes sense to me, and then oh, that perk doesn't matter. This perk kind of matters. This perk you don't want to go any more down except for that. And then you have a bunch of flexible slots. Like, I guess we can go into, like, heavy attack stuff, but that doesn't really do anything. Don't you take orb for the rend? No, you don't. You do passive rend with all your dots, so you don't need to take orb. Like, I guess you could do this. And the trick is, every time you want to use Essence Rupture or you want to use Tether, just target lock onto your target, and it just won't miss. And then anytime you want to use a BB ability, except for Plague Splitting Grenade, just target lock onto your target, and it won't miss. Like, this is just the aimbot build, basically. Is there a 725 variant of the Heart Rune stuff yet, or is it just 700? Kind of forget. me hit show calculator real quick. Base damage 50%, damage is 31%. Power for honing elemental. Yeah, see, it's how it's counting every single instance of elemental affinity. So it's passive 31% elemental affinity. With the honing stone is 31% in power, and that's not including any of our dodging conditionals. So that's like kind of nuts. Oh, I lost my thing. BBVG show. And then Desert Sunrise is a nice thing to always have, but you don't necessarily need to have that one. And I think that's basically it. So the high... Wait. Where'd my buff go? Oh, do I have to put consumes in here? Okay. Yeah. That's weird. In terms of, like, the other stuff that you want, you definitely want, like probably fire pots or flame. Is it fire or flame absorption? You want these. The trick with the absorption pots is they typically have a 30-second duration, but if you use bags with lasting consumption, that will affect the duration of the pot. So you could have a 45-second pot with a 90-second cooldown, which means that you could have a pot up 50% of the time that absorbs 15% of the fire damage or whatever. So it's like really, really good for countering like fire staff, basically. And then other thing you want on here is you definitely want your health potion. Regen potions give mana. That's the only reason why you want to use the regen potions. Otherwise, you want to use the better version of the regen potions, which I'm forgetting off the top of my head right now. It's pink looking. Just search potion. Oh, it's serum. It's just regen serums, right? Yeah. So you'd want that ideally. Dude, this is crazy strong. I'm not gonna lie. Like the crazy part about this is, like in the past patch, you had to be squishy as a BB, right? Like you actually had to be squishy in order to hit the empower cap. With the elemental band right now, you could only have to run like shirking empower, tumble feet wraps, and elemental band, and you just hit the empower cap all the time for any single weapon. So that just lets us go nuts. Also, tether's another source of empower, so even if we're close to the empower cap, we'll get over it with that. And then the other thing that BB does really well is it just has really good base damage, so you don't even have to like worry about half the other stuff that BB normally struggles with because this is just so strong. You have ways to get past empowered with empower and penetrating the empowered. You have good amount of rend with this also from Life Taker. Tons of unique dot effects that are just gonna go crazy and just pop off and do tons of damage. The only weird caveat to this is you need to have one source of Magnify that is not Gorgonite. So Apex Gold Earring, which you could roll if you RNG one that's like half decent, it only needs really refreshing toast and regenning in your main attribute, so it's like not too hard to get. Like that's perfectly fine. I think you have to do Gorgonite Amulet because you need to force shirking and power, and you have to like Elemental Band, you just have to go this route. So it's like kind of RNG on this gold curse. What's the minimum gear score that we can get on this, and then we're still okay. So this is in the strength right now. So it looks like 710 would be fine, because we still hit our threshold. What if we go like 700? Do we hit our threshold if it's 700? No, we don't. What about 705? $705 we don't. So it has to be 710 or above, I believe. Check 708. No. 9. I guess I could just see when it turns. And then 10 should be a threshold for 33. Yeah, 10's the threshold for 33. So it has to be above 710 gear score. And then we could hit the stat threshold that we want. So there you go. And then you get 200, 300, 200, which is absolutely bonkers on a BB. To be honest, you can get away with champions, only lose a couple of stats, and it's cons, so no magnify. How many... The question for Champions Amulet. You can get Champions Amulet to 700, right? Your one stat short. Your one stat short crush of the threshold if you go Champions Amulet. You need 33. Because this is 33. That's 32. So it doesn't work by one stat point. So yeah, you have to roll it. That looks rather unfun to fight. Oh, this is utterly broken. If someone puts this together, they will just, like, literally dominate the entire thing. Like, I think Blunderbuss is, like, so strong in this patch with those 50 extra stats. Because now you can just hit so many stupid thresholds. Like, you never considered before doing main hand int. Like, you'd always do, like, oh, we're just going to do 150 int, put the rest in strength. But with, like, this new patch with the extra stats, you could totally hit 300 int, go 200 strength, and you can go 200 con, which is just bonkers. Because this will affect your base damage to targets below 50% health, relatively common. Dots have 30% duration, relatively common for BB. Mana doesn't matter, elemental damage matters. This other stuff's just a lock-in anyway. There's no damage thing that really benefits BB that much. Past 200 strength. Like 7% base damage while under 90% health. You're not going to be under 90% health for the most part with BB. You're going to be at full health because people are afraid of you. And 10% damage to abilities or the final attack of a melee light change, like you're a ranged weapon. So you really just want to hit 200 strength. Like this seems crazy strong, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen some clips of this in OPR. This build's like, I've seen the high of this build is you drop 200 kills. You also could run this build in medium too. You don't have to run it in light. Like you could run it in medium. You just need to adjust the gear appropriately to be in the medium bucket. So like if I set this class to be medium and I have light boots, right? What's the maximum armor I can get? It's still relatively high. So you need a heavy chest, medium, or heavy hands, medium chest, medium legs. Are there any illegal pieces for heavy chest or medium legs that are really good? That's like another thing to consider as well. Trial to Devour, if we look at medium. Heavy chest is keenly fortified. Yeah, no, we don't care about that. And then we have medium legs, I believe. Was it? Yeah, medium legs, medium chest. So what are our medium leg options? Are any of these good? Physical aversion. No, it's trash. What about chest? That's also trash. So it doesn't matter. You could do medium or you could do light. You'll have like the same beneficial options basically. Is there ever a way to do this where you get like heavy boots? Is that like ever a thing? You're already, but then you have to drop tumbler, so it doesn't really work. Is there ever a way to do it to where you have like keenly empowered, which would be heavy chest and light boots, or heavy legs and light boots? There is, but you lose a decent amount of armor. So that's another thing that you could do too if you're doing it in medium. If you get heavy legs and you have keenly empowered unlocked, which is just another way to get consistent empower, but it seems like we've already solved the empower problem, so I think you're fine. I like how many of the warp drops are insane and how many are worse than the garbage. A 695 piece. Yeah, it's funny. It's just like, I don't know why they kind of did it that way. But this seems really, really strong to me. Really high amounts of base damage, really high amounts of empower. Probably will just 1 to 2 tap everything. It is a very gear intensive setup though. Like in order to hit 300, 200, 300, 200, you need to have like really high stat thresholds. You could do 150 con too. Like that's perfectly fine. And then just put more stuff into strength and then it's like a lot less strict. So that's probably what I would do early on. But later on, like if you get 200, 300, 200, like you're insanely tanky and you do a ton of damage. This does require the ability to do the raid pretty consistently, because there's no way that you're going to be able to get this blunderbuss outside of a raid. I guess you could use the PvP blunderbuss, use Keen, and then you can just force attunement and just drop Enchanted or something like that. That's not the end of the world. Yeah, that's how I'd optimize BBVG, I guess. The other way that you could build this too is you could use a normal VG and then you could use a Pestilence as a BB, and that works okay as well. Ever Azoth conductors over Tumbler? No, not for BB. For other builds, yeah, sure, but not for BB. Conductors is, I believe, a base damage effect. That's a really good question, though. Because I had someone else ask me this in DMs today. Who's relatively good at the game. But... oh, wait, that's base damage? Huh. Oh, wait, no, yeah, you don't care, though. It's also element... yeah, this is the problem. This was the problem. So, there's two problems with going this. One, this is base damage, not empower, and we're, like, trying to get to the empower cap, right? Because we already have a good amount of base damage, so that's, like, inherently a problem. The second problem with this is 15% more elemental damage. Our BB standard attacks are actually doing thrust damage. They're not doing elemental whatsoever. So in order to get them to do elemental, right, then to solve that problem, I need to run an elemental gem here, which means I'm losing 9% base damage to run the elemental gem. So I'm losing 9%. So, like, how it works out, right? So I have my 15% increase, right? And then that's really doing half because I'm using a gem. So it's like 7.5%. But then I'm losing 9% because I'm dropping that other gem. So I'm really net minus 1.5% damage by running that artifact on BB. So it doesn't really make sense for BB. The build that that artifact could be insane for, though, is the Abyss Void or Abyss Firestaff build. Like, that artifact is insane. Because you could use Azoth Conductors. You're consistently doing 15% more elemental damage, and Great Axe likes medium. Firestaff is fine with medium, so that has a lot of value with that build, but for this build, I don't think it has as much value. I stopped playing around with Boltcaster. It came out. What's the best bow build at the moment? I really like the idea of Venom and Dot Bow. So the heavy attacks don't actually apply the dot for bow from Venom anymore. That was something that everyone was like, oh my god, this is going to be broken. They absolutely need to fix this, and like AGS nerfed that before it even came out for some reason. So Venom's like bow heavy attack build is like should be really good, but AGS just decided to remove it from the game. The way that Venom works now is that I think it's only melee attacks. Yeah, heavy melee attacks on either weapon cause poison damage. It's no longer just heavy attacks. That would have been a really fun build though.